Greetings everyone. So recently we've had a couple of fairly high profile conversions to Christianity. One of them was actually a conversion to Catholicism by conservative commentator Candace Owens. The other was a conversion to not Catholicism for now, but to Christianity by actor and comedian Russell Brand. Now anytime someone converts to Christianity, it's a really exciting thing for us fellow Christians because we're really happy for that person. We're happy that they've kind of understood what the truth is and they're pointed in the right direction. Now, that doesn't mean that everything they're going to do from now on is going to be correct, that they're not going to make mistakes, that they're not going to fall, because we all do. But it means they know what the truth is and they know where they're heading and what they're aiming for. And that is already a heck of a lot better than not having any clue what direction you're going in, why you're here, what your purpose is. So that makes us very happy. But I think it's even more exciting when someone who's well known converts, because generally people like that have quite a big following, and Russell Brand most certainly is very well known and has a very big following of millions of people. So if he converts to Christianity, that now suddenly means that perhaps quite a lot of the people who watch his content are going to look into Christianity, and perhaps some of them will even follow him into the faith. And that's why it's such a wonderful thing when someone who's so well known and has such a high profile has a conversion like this. It really does have the potential to bring so many people to the faith. Now this kind of thing can work the other way around as well. If you strike the shepherd, the flock will disperse. This is the kind of tactic that the devil uses. That's why priests are so under attack, because if you strike a priest and he falls, it's very possible that a lot of his followers will disperse. They won't want to go to church anymore. They'll be feeling so let down by the whole situation that they'll turn away from the church. This is why the sexual abuse scandal that has happened in the Catholic Church has been so devastating, because it's turned so many people away from this magnificent true faith because some of these priests sadly fell. So someone like a Russell Brand really has the power to bring a lot of people with him. I think that's why, for example, so many people really want Joe Rogan to convert to Christianity. Those who don't know who Joe Rogan is, he basically probably has the largest podcast in the world at the moment with a huge viewership. And he was at one time very against Christianity and against religion in general, but I feel like more recently he's been a lot more willing to explore it. He hasn't converted yet, although he seems to be less negative towards it and certainly more interested in it. And again, people are just thinking, if Joe Rogan was to convert to Christianity, think how many people he could bring with him. I mean, look at someone like Jordan Peterson, who isn't even a Christian himself yet, but he talks so much about Christianity, talks so much about the Bible, and generally brings it to his audience in a very positive light. And if you look at the comment sections under some of his videos, you can see that actually a lot of people have converted to Christianity thanks to what he's been saying, even though he himself hasn't converted. Although I think he pretty much believes in God, even though he doesn't like to answer that question very straightforwardly. He certainly says he lives as though there is a God. He tries to live his life as though there's a God, which to me essentially means you're believing that there is a God. It's just that one more step to Christianity that he hasn't quite been able to take, even though his wife recently did convert to Catholicism. But back to Russell Brand, I am really happy for this guy because I've generally had quite a positive view of him, even way back when he wasn't really doing the kind of things he's doing now online and he was a bit more liberal. He still seemed like he had a kind heart and a kind soul. He seemed like ultimately he just wanted people to be happy. He wanted people not to be abused by the powerful, not to be cheated by the powerful. And even though he was kind of a bit more into the sort of new age style spirituality, and he had some kind of a belief in a God or in a creator, but he wasn't quite sure what that meant, and he felt that all religions really were kind of pointing to the same thing and all trying to explain God in their own way. I still felt like deep down, even though he'd of course made many mistakes in life, as we all do, he did have this kind of goodness in him, and it was just about discovering more what the actual truth was, and that seems to be what he's done now. So Russell Brand really does seem to have had what would be known kind of more modernly as a red pill moment, which essentially means that you take the pill which shows you the reality, rather than taking the fake pill that kind of masks the reality and gives you what you might want, but it's not real. This is the pill that actually goes, no, here's the reality. Do you want to know the truth? Here's the truth. And he certainly took the pill of pleasure before and was essentially just living his life to have as much enjoyment as possible, fornicating and drinking and doing drugs. And then he realized at one point that none of this was really going to ever make him happy. And I think that's when he started exploring faith a bit more. And then he has finally come to the conclusion that actually he thinks Christianity is the real deal. Here he is explaining in a clip how the secular world essentially convinces you that a certain way of life is the correct way of life, and really it's all just hedonism. It's just convincing you to be selfish and only care about your own needs, and it can never really provide you with true happiness.
If you don't have an explicit God and a set of values that you attribute to that God, it's likely that the default summit of your life will be self-betterment, self-aggrandizement, fulfillment of self. If you take a moment, and this is particularly relevant if you don't believe in God, what is your God really? Is your God what you want and what you fear? Because your life is not purposeless. You're not like this. I don't care what happens. I might do nothing. I might do this. You're not randomly choosing things. There is a system of values that is guiding you. And the default, and I think this is very useful and beneficial for power, is to serve and protect the self. It's really difficult, but I'm speaking for myself, to wrench yourself away from self-fulfillment, to not think, I would like pleasure. I want to avoid fear. I want to be admired, prestige, power, many, many P's, sadly. This becomes the default value system. Now, what you require in order to overcome that is something more powerful than that. Where will you find something more powerful than the fulfillment of yourself? It could be a family for some people. It could be a job for some people. It could be a project. It could be cars. It could be almost anything. But in the end, unless it has some essential value, it will show itself to be a false idol. The figure of Christ and Christianity itself is about overcoming your tendency towards selfishness and recognizing that you are saved and that you belong to God and that your life's purpose is not about self-fulfillment, it is about service. And that is an incredible challenge, and it's certainly not one that I'm claiming to be doing very well at, but it's certainly that is now my aspiration and that is now my direction. And when I make mistakes, as I inevitably do, and thankfully forgiveness is part of this path, I remember, oh yeah, you're supposed to be going that way. Whereas before, when Christianity wasn't in the picture, I was just like, well, aren't I supposed to just be like getting stuff? Isn't that the religion, the default religion of our time? Isn't that what you're being offered? Whether it's the American dream or your human rights or whatever you're being packaged, you're sort of being told. Like if you watch any commercial break now, you'll just see people tipping things into their mouths or gambling or getting stuff. It's hardly avant-garde to say that commercialism and consumerism are the default religions of our time, and that's why all of the religious festivals are converted into festivals of consumerism.
Very well said, really. He's very good at talking, and a lot of his thoughts make a lot of sense, and I'm glad that this is the kind of thing that he's saying, and these are the kind of thoughts that he's having, and that it's reaching a wide audience. And I really hope that he can continue down this path. Of course he's going to stumble along the way, as I do, as you do, but as he said in the video, as long as you know the path you're supposed to be going on, that is a very important thing, because then even if you trip up or you accidentally go down a different path for a little while, at some point you kind of shake yourself off and realize, no, hang on a second, I'm supposed to be going this way. And if you know what way you're supposed to be going, then that is already a big advantage. Let me know your thoughts on the conversion of Russell Brand, folks. Thank you very much for watching the video. Have a blessed day.